Good day everyone, my name is Jasmine Kyla Elbolo and I am the reporter in Cafeteria and Catering, and my topic is all about starches. So let's get started. Starches. Starch, the reserved carbohydrate of plants, has several functions in food preparation. It can be used as a thickener in sauces and a stabilizer for beverage and dressings. It also provides the structural framework of baked products. It is a gelling agent for food items such as rice cakes and can be used for dusting or coating bread and biscuits, as well as helps retain moisture in peelings and candies. So, ang starch is familiar na din naman tayo dito, 'di ba? So, ang starch is pwede natin itong gamitin bilang pampalapot ng mga niluluto natin, and it can be a stabilizer for beverage and dressings, and also pwede din natin siyang gamitin for some structural framework or baked products. It also used as gelling agent for the foods. Example niya is yung mga rice cakes and also sa mga bread and biscuit. And it can be used for dusting or coating bread, and nakaka-help din siya to retain some moisture sa mga peelings ng bread and for our candies. Principles in starch cookery. 1. Dextrinization. The process of dextrinization takes place when starch is subjected to dry heat. The starch change is reduced in length to shorter molecules called dextrins. Some of the effects of dextrinization of starch are reduced thickening power, higher solubility, and a change in color and flavor. An example of this is the toasting of flour in cooking polvoron and toasting of bread. So, the dextrinization is during the heating process, the starches within the food are broken down by a chemical reaction into sugar called dextrin. Dextrin is a brown, giving baked foods their golden brown color. Examples food that use the process of dextrinization include pies, toast, cookies, and other baked foods. Ang dextrinization is isang chemical process na nagaganap kapag ang mga starch is na-expose sa init. Ang molecules, or also known as dextrin, mostly nangyayari ang mga process na ito kapag niluluto natin yung mga pagkain na merong starch tulad ng tinapay, potatoes, or cereals, and maaari magresulta ng pagbabago ng color, lasa, and textures. Mostly, ginagamit ang dextrinization para maging crispy and golden brown yung mga crust ng mga baked goods or magpakapal na mga sauce and gravy. Number 2, gelatinization. It occurs when starch is heated with water, resulting in the swelling of starch granules due to water absorption. Swelling may take place either in cold water or during heating. In cold water, however, limited swelling would occur. Once starch is heated within the temperature range of gelatinization, there is an increase in viscosity and the starch attains a translucent appearance. Gelatinization improves the appearance of the starch mixtures and prevents the starch particles from settling. So, gelatinization is isang process kung saan ang mga starch is nagbabago yung kanilang structure kapag nilalagyan natin ng mainit na tubig. So, dito na nabubuo yung starch sa tubig. Lumalaki at nagkakaroon ng translucent texture while ginagawa natin siyang gelatinous. Mostly, ginagawa itong gelatinization sa pagluluto ng kanin, pasta, and yung mga kakanin because magbibigay ito ng tamang texture and timpla sa mga pagkain. Factors influencing viscosity. A. Concentration of starch. The higher the concentration of starch, the greater is its potential viscosity. Thus, a higher amount of liquid would result in a less viscous or thinner mixture. So, ito na yun siya yung tumutukoy sa dami or concentration ng starch sa isang solusyon or material. Mostly, sinusukat ito sa pamamagitan ng dami ng starch or yung tamang dami ng starch. It is important for us to know this in terms of baking or cooking kasi kailangan alam natin kung gaano karami or ano lang yung need ng starch na kakailanganin ng lulutuin natin. B. Source of starch. The thickening ability of starches varies with the kind of starch used. Cereal starches have greater thickening ability than root starches. So this is primarily sourced from plants, particularly grains like wheat, corn, and rice, as well as tubers like potatoes and cassava. It stores in these plants as a carbohydrate reserve. C. Temperature. Gelatinization begins at moderate temperature and is completed only when the temperature that approaches boiling is achieved. A starch mixture not sufficiently heated will be thinner than that which has reached the optimum temperature for gelatinization. Heating cornstarch and flour to boiling point will ensure complete gelatinization, thus eliminating the raw starch flavor. So, the temperature in process of gelatinization is nag-start siya kapag yung temperature ng heat is tama-tama lang. And kapag nakuha niya na yung need niyang temperature, doon na siya kukulo. Ang mixture ng starch and water is hindi sapat kapag pinapainit lang siya because magiging manipis yung mixtures. Not unlike kapag na-meet niya na yung need niya na temperature ng gelatinizations, ang pag-iinit ng cornstarch and flour hanggang sa kumulo ito is make sure na maalis yung hilaw na lasa ng starch. The effect of sugar. Sugar competes with starch for water in a starch mixture. As a result, less water will be available for the gelatinization of the starch. This will yield a less viscous product and a more translucent mixture. So in terms of sugar naman is dapat konti lang yung tubig para ma-achieve yung gelatination ng starch, hindi siya gaanong lalapot. E. Effect of adding acid. When a mixture of acid and starch is heated, starch molecules become hydrolyzed. When this happens, the starch become more soluble because of the shorter change than result from hydrolysis. This result is a thinner mixture. F. Effect of dextrinization. In brown sauce, dextrinized flour is used in greater amounts to correct viscosity and to give a characteristic toasted flavor. 9. Thoroughness of dispersion. Starch needs to be thoroughly dispersed, otherwise the mixtures would be lumpy and the textures and appearance undesirable. Lumping of starch reduces viscosity since wrapped starch can no longer gelatinize. Lump formation. The primary cause of lump formation is the inadequate dispersion of starch. This occurs when starch starts to swell before it has been thoroughly dispersed in fine particles throughout the mixtures. Inadequate stirring and clumping of starch granules also hinder starch dispersion, thus causing lumps. To avoid lump formation, adequate dispersion of the starch is needed. This can be done by mixing the starch thoroughly with the liquid before heating it and by adequately stirring the mixture while cooking. So lump occur when the outside of large portion of starch gelatinized, preventing hot water from getting at the starch inside the clump of starch. Stirring while adding the starch, however, first prepare is necessary to help prevent the formation of clumps and therefore lumps. 3. Gelation. It is a process of gel formation wherein a semi-solid or solid material forms when water is dropped by a network formed in preparing hot paste. 4. Seneresis or whipping. This takes place when liquid is slowly released from a gel structure when a cut is made through the starch network. Whipping usually occurs in custard peelings and starchy pie peelings. Examples of starch cookery. Starch is cooked in many ways. It is primarily used for thickening soups, sauces, and gravies, and for gelatinizing pudding. The first example is white sauce. The general procedure for making white sauce is to first melt the fat before thoroughly blending in the flour. Cold milk is then added and blended well with the starch by constant stirring, usually with a whisk. A well-prepared white sauce should be smooth, well-seasoned, and should have an appropriate viscosity for the type of being prepared. Proportions of ingredients of white sauce. Type: thin sauce. Example: cream soup. Flour 1 tablespoon, fat 1 tablespoon, milk 1 cup, salt 1/4 teaspoon. Medium thick cream vegetable gravy 2 tablespoon, flour, fat 2 tablespoon, milk 1 cup, salt 1/4 teaspoon. Thick sauce souffle, flour 3 tablespoon, fat 3 tablespoon, milk 1 cup, salt 1/4 teaspoon. Very thick crochets, flour 4 tablespoon, fat 4 tablespoon, milk 1 cup, and salt is 1/4 teaspoon. The next example is gravy. The preparation of gravy varies according to the type of drippings used. Drippings are the fat or liquid that accumulates after the meat has been fried, roasted, baked, or steamed. Methods of cooking gravy. One is Roque's method. General method is first, remove drippings from the pan and measure. Second, measure 2 tablespoons of gravy for every cup of gravy desired. Return the gravy to the pan. Third, stir in the flour directly into the drippings until the mixture is smooth. Fourth, add salt and the measured amount of cold liquid carefully. Fifth, stir cold gravy constantly as it is brought to a boil. Proportions: 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of drippings, 1 cup liquid, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 2. Kettle method. General method is first, shake flour with a small amount of cold liquid vigorously in the tight container until all lumps are gone. Second is stir into the drippings. Third, stir mixture constantly as the gravy is heating to boiling. The result is a thinner gravy than a Roque's. Next is quantities of a good gravies. First is smooth, second is well seasoned, and 3 is devoid of fat film. Next example is cream soup. A cream soup is based on a thin white sauce, also called bechamel sauce milk, that has been thickened with rocks, with heavy cream added as a finishing touch. The solid could either be strained or poured and returned to the soup. Straining is done to ensure a velvety smooth texture. The consistency should be similar to that of heavy cream. Qualities of a well-prepared cream soup. First is smooth, second, free of fat film, 3 well-seasoned, 4 pleasing appropriate color, and 5 should have the viscosity of a heavy cream. The last example is cornstarch pudding. Pointers in the preparation of cornstarch pudding. First is carefully mix the cornstarch, sugar, and the other ingredients to prevent lumps. Carefully mix the cold milk with the dry ingredients to prevent these lumps. Second, hot milk may be added without forming lumps. Third, scald 3/4 of the milk and the dry ingredients while the remaining cold milk are being mixed to reduce preparation time. Fourth, thoroughly stir as the starch is gelatinizing to prevent lumps. 5. Avoid stirring the mixture vigorously as the damage the starch granules, causing them to be sticky. The result would be a heavy and gummy pudding. 6. Measure the ingredients accurately. 7. Boil the mixture to the correct end point. An indication that the pudding is already cooked is when a spoon pulled slowly broadside the mixture leaves a distinct path. 8 is after removing the pudding from the heat, add vanilla or butter and cool tightly in covered dishes to control scum formation. Qualities of a well-prepared pudding. First is smooth, second, feels delicate and light on the tongue. Third, no hint of gumminess or stickiness. Fourth, when cut, there should be a slight softening of the outline of the cut portion. Fifth, flavor is mild and pleasing. So that will be all. Again, my name is Jasmine Kyla El Bolo from BTBTED FSM 3A. So thank you for listening.